Hi everyone, Tori here with another Scrap Your Scraps video. This is number 10 and it's called Mixed Media and Branding Strips, which I guess totally gives away what the whole thing is, but I will be doing mixed media and using branding strips, if you couldn't guess. This is the second Scrap Your Scraps video for today, so I hope you enjoyed the first one. If you didn't check it out yet, go back and check it out because it's super awesome too, and I also use branding strips and do something a little different. So let's dive right in, why don't we? So I began by grabbing a whole bunch of branding strips that I had that were um, either gray or white or dark blackish colors, and I cut them all into different sizes because I didn't want them to be like a whole 12 by 12 strip. I wanted them to be all different sizes. So some of them I cut just halfway down the middle, some of them I cut part way up and make them all different sizes. And I'm going to use all of those on the page. So first I cut them all into these little strips, and I'm going to arrange them down the center of the page. Now I wanted them to just be a little more interesting than to just have the flat edge on the end. So I end up cutting the edges into fishtail edges. I mean, I don't know if that's what you call them. That's what I've always called them. Maybe you can leave me a comment and let me know what you call them. But basically, I cut down the middle and then cut in from each side, and it looks sort of like a fishtail or a ribbon ending or a banner ending or something. And so I'm going to do that for all of them, and then when I lay them down, you'll just see those edges, and it looks really cool. So I won't show you all of them because it did take me a little while to do it for all of these strips. I'm just showing you a couple of them, and then I'll skip ahead for you so you don't have to see it all. And then once I had all of those done, I'm going to glue those down from top to bottom. And I'm going to glue them not perfectly straight, but pretty much in the middle. Some of them will be longer than others, and that doesn't really bother me. And I'm using my hot glue gun to stick all of those down. So this is a really fun way to use some of the scraps you might have, especially if you collect branding strips like I do. I collect anything and everything. Basically, if I think it can be used on a scrapbook page, I'm going to use it. So branding strips definitely get used. Although, I did want to mention, if you don't have branding strips saved, what you could do is just cut strips of paper, whatever size you wanted, out of some paper and do the same exact techniques, but without branding strips. So after I was done that, I knew I wanted them to sort of look more like they all went together. So I just grabbed some gesso and I'm applying that over top of them. And originally I had decided to add it with a palette knife, but I didn't like it. It didn't look soft enough. So I ended up just grabbing a baby wipe and just dabbing the gesso, smoothing it out all over, and then just making sure there's enough on there. And I like the way that it sort of ties all those different patterns that are on the branding strips together and helps it flow more into the yellow paper that's behind it. So I'm going to leave that to dry for a few minutes, and then when I come back, I'm going to do just a little bit of mixed media techniques on top. So I grabbed some packaging and some yellow ink. I think it's called Sunny Day from Studio Calico. And I'm just applying that yellow ink to the packaging and then spraying the packaging with some water and then just smushing that on there. And it's not super bright, it's actually pretty subtle, but I like that it just gives brings a little bit of yellow into those gray and dark branding strips that are in the middle there. And I'm just cleaning off that packaging in between with a baby wipe. And then after I was done that, I wanted to add a little bit more patterning. So I grabbed a yellow distress ink and my mini ink blending tool, as well as a Heidi Swap stencil. That's just a bunch of circles. And I'm just stenciling some large circles all over the page. And it's pretty subtle, but you can see it. The yellow ink that I used, I think it's sort of dry, so it wasn't super juicy, but it does leave like nice little polka dots all over. And then I decided I wanted to go grab another stencil, so I grabbed a smaller circle stencil and the yellow ink that I was using before. And I'm now adding some more circles, and these ones are smaller than the ones from before. And I'm just mostly adding them to the left and the right hand side because I know that the middle will have the photo on it. And then just to finish off the mixed media techniques, I decided to just ink the edges with that yellow ink. And you can't see it a lot on the video, but in person it looks really cool because it sort of ties all those yellows in together. So this is the photo I'm using today. It's a photo of me from when I was a little kid. It's a little blurry, but I don't really mind. And it's a photo of me holding my mouse stuffed animal. And I used to carry this mouse everywhere. Like everywhere I went, I'd carry him. And his name was Mousy, but also Muffin. So what happened was he was given to me when I was a baby, and my parents named him Muffin. But when I was a kid, I could never remember his name was Muffin. So I just called him Mousy. So whenever people would ask me what his name was, I would just say Mousy. So I think Mousy stuck. So the title is going to be His Name is Mousy. And then the journaling is going to talk about how I called him Mousy, but my parents called him Muffin and whatever. So first I stuck down a doily and then I stuck the photo on top of that. And then I'm using some gray letter stickers from Studio Calico to put His Name is on the top and then Mousy on the bottom. And then I felt like the background needed a little something more because I don't know, it didn't seem to tie together really well to me. So I grabbed these gold rub-ons that I just had in my stash from Studio Calico, and I'm going to rub them all over the background. No real semblance or order, just all over that background area. And some of them are stars, some are dashes, plus signs, arrows, and they're going to be all over the background. So I'm actually going to just skip ahead for you so that you don't have to watch that for a really long time. And then after I was done with the rub-ons, I'm going to add my journaling on this yellowish gold tag. And my journaling is basically what I already told you. And then after I was done that, I just grabbed some yellow Color Theory buttons that I had in my stash, and I'll just sprinkle those around the page. And that's it. The page is done. And that's another fun way to use branding strips and some mixed media techniques. I hope you had fun, and I hope I inspired you. And most of all, I hope you have a lovely day. And there's a third Scrap Your Scraps video coming up soon, so check that out. Bye!